phone to thing and someone can talk. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Oh, I have to take them off because I've got reflection going on there. Thank you for joining another show with the Loose Mystics. We have the lovely Gemma to my, where am I? Right? Is that right?
Or left.
Left, to my left.
Yeah.
Lovely Gemma. We have diagonal, lovely Hayley. And beneath me, the lovely Mandy.
Oh, thanks, Beneath.
Underneath me. We haven't got Suzette today, so it's just the four of us. But never mind, we'll still be fabulous. Today's show that we're going to talk about is Random Child. Like
Can't really take live.
Today's show, we're going to talk about, first of all, one of the topics is children into spiritualism, spirituality. How young do you get them involved, or do you get them involved? Do your children pick up things on a psychic vibration? Do they see their grandparents in spirit, or their animals maybe in spirit, or talk about a friend, a mystery friend? Do you encourage that? Do you not? What age to take them to the church? That's the first topic that we're going to talk about. And then we're going to lead into other things from that. So if you do have any questions from that, then please let us know, and I will be bringing up your questions, and we'll be answering them as best as we can. Please remember, it is just our opinion, so we're not necessarily right or wrong with anything. It is just our opinion. So find your own answers. We're not guiding you in any way. This is a Loose Mystics chat show, just with our opinion there. So whatever we say, we're not saying it's dead right or dead wrong. It's just in our eyes, whatever it is there. So give us your questions. I'm going to hand you over to the girls while I just do a little bit of a share around. So we'll start off. Gemma hasn't got children, so we won't start off with her unless she can just quickly go and borrow somebody's. But we'll start with Hayley and Mandy. Hayley and I spoke about spiritual things. We were like 7 or 8, something like that, weren't we, Hay? Talking about it. So I'm going to leave you with the girls to start the conversation, and then I'm bound to butt in a bit.
Yeah. Behind the scenes, Kate and I was talking, and when we knew we were doing this today, something popped into my mind that how skeptical we seem to be about spirituality and sharing our spiritual beliefs with children. Yet, I quite comfortably, would go into Christianity and look into those things. And I wondered whether, when things are fear-based, anything's scary. So when we talk about other religions, they might talk about the devil. And if you do something wrong, you go to hell and all these awful things. And I thought, is it okay then to if it helps you? So you control over them? Or...
I think, do you know what? I don't think it's that. I think with
someone needs to turn their thing down. Who's got their no? Oh, it's just got a bit of a funny background. Okay.
I was going to say that I think the difference with spirituality towards rather than Christianity is that your kids might get ridiculed, because obviously I think recently spirituality has been more acceptable, but if you go back 5 years, 10 years, it wasn't. It was still kind of thought really weird. So if you sort of taught your kids all about it, then they started telling the kids at school, there's a worry that they would get picked on or thought that they were weird, or that type of thing.
Definitely, as a child, my mum was into all of this. We actually, was fortunate. I still believe in Jesus and the spirituality. I have strong beliefs on both, ways, and I think you can link them in. And I don't think it even has to be like you have to choose either one. It's all about being kind, really. And if you teach your children to be kind, that's fine. I mean, I remember when I was younger, I think we spoke about this in the first one actually. I wouldn't have mentioned, different things that we did, because I would have been one of those children ridiculed. Kate and I, from really little girls, would be walking home from school, like Kate said, 7 and 8, questioning everything, which I think that's good for children to question. It's a sign of intelligence, and if they're just
that's why we did it.
Well, I don't know if it's that fast, but.
But so do you think though then, do you think the film like The Sixth Sense helped or was a hindrance? That I see dead people, like that little boy, does that kind of like make it more acceptable or like not for kids?
I think it opens it up. I think it's about not pretending. If that happens, it's like scared, these days, what's good and wrong. Actually, that does happen to, I believe that may happen to some children. And if it opens it up for a parent to think, oh, actually, my child's saying that, and maybe this could happen, even if they, in their little minds, they might be seeing that, and it might not be there, but if they're seeing that, that's real to them, isn't it?
Those imaginary friends.
Even if it's imaginary friends that are scared to a child, that's really real. And to not honour that, whatever it is, I think I put a child in a scary place to just say, oh, you're imagining it, it's not there, because I don't know whether, I don't know if I'd encourage it, but I think I'd certainly listen, where Charlotte, I would listen to make sure I made her feel safe, not just say to her, you're imagining it. I think that might be a scary.
I'm laughing because I'm imagining if one of my kids came to me and said, I see dead people, there's a ghost over there, I'd freak. I'd be like, oh my God.
I mean, I don't have any children, but children and pets tend to pick things up, don't they?
That's what I mean.
And my dog would, if I'm home alone, my dog will quite often just stare into blankness, and I'll be like,
no.
What is that? So I think I'd be exactly the same if my kids started talking to
they're seeing things.
I'd be I mean, you can carry on, but I'm gonna go.
Just don't tell me, all right? I don't want to know.
I think it's a really valid point.
People know my Charlotte spoke really well from quite a young age, and I think she might have only been about 2, maybe 3 at the eldest. No, I think she's only 2 because it was before my big nan died. So before this, she was coming in. She said, Ellis comes to speak to me, mummy. I went, in the evenings. I went, oh, what a lady. She went, no, a man, Ellis. But my surname's Ellis. So, and then she used to go, 1 pop, 2 pops, and look at my dad and my granddad. He looks extremely like my dad. So, a few months on, big long story, but I don't necessarily speak to my dad's side of the family, not all of them. A few months on, she said she's staying around my mum and dad's house, and she went, oh, Ellis has brought a lady with him today. My dad got a phone call that evening to say my nana passed away. And she described her in a picture. You kids can't lie. You couldn't make it up. It's goosebumps.
No, it's there, but
you could. And then we used to say, my mum said to her, "What a little." She went, "She brings a lady with me now. What a little lady." Well, my nan wasn't little. She was a big, strong, powerful woman. She went, "No, Nana. She's a big lady." So this, and then she pointed at her a picture. She never met her. Never even met her. So,
yeah, I'll be sleeping with the lights on.
I say to her,
but they're not. This is the thing. They're not. They're just family, and that spirit aren't dangerous.
I know.
Fearful. And that's the thing. Is like that. The media and the TV and other religions. Catholics. Like you're allowed to be Catholic and put the fear of God. And this is what Haley was saying. That's acceptable.
Oh yeah.
Have the fear of God put into you, and if you do something wrong, you've got to go and do your Hail Marys and all the rest of it. But to believe in someone that of your family that has died, no way. And they can believe in Jesus. They can talk to Jesus, but they can't talk to Grandma. It's like
just that people think that they're weird, or it's still not the normal, is it? And so the kids might be singled out and ridiculed for it. Is what is my point.
I had a friend, and her mum was quite well known when we were younger. In this, was doing all of that, and she was quite picked on at school over it. She was quite open about it. Bloody good on her when I look back now. I used to think she was stupid, but actually, well done. She held her ground and respected and was open about it. But yeah, it's definitely changed. Even my Charlotte, she's gone through all of it. Who believe give children choices.
Yeah, it's shifted though, isn't it? It's more acceptable now.
Charlotte knew about, Damien's very Christian. He's very into, Jesus, and he knows the Bible far better than I do. And I do my thing, and she's sort of mixed between the two and makes her own mind up now. She's mixed up herself these days, I think. But
I think
given spiritual now than that. I think kids don't want to be told anymore.
No. I think they need the choice. It's when they're tiny. I get a lot of people come to me saying, my 2-year-old is seeing things. What do I do? And personally, I think don't over dramatize anything. Don't make it a fear. Don't make it wrong. just make it perfectly normal. Just, okay, yeah, fine. And no one is going to hurt. And I think the fear comes in when they're feared from it, when they're made to feel scared. That's when they end up feeling scared or seeing the dark shadows, because that's what they've been told, or they've watched a movie or something. But if they're told it's perfectly fine, your nan or your granddad or whatever, Bob the cat, the cat died, didn't he? Bob the cat or something like that this week.
Yeah, the other day.
Yeah, about that. But if Bob the cat came and visited, perfectly okay. And I think it's about educating children at a young age is going to prevent the fear, which will prevent the spread of the fear as we get older. But I also think you have to be sensible, and there will be some children that will have a very strong imagination there. So there's getting that fine line. You're only going to know your own child. I mean, I have both my boys named at the Spiritualist Church. I used to take them when they were babies to the church, not to the actual mediumship demonstrations. Didn't think that was right for the children at a very, very young age to be watching somebody else do the messages. That was a bit older. But to the services where they had the philosophy talks, they used to come with me. They came to a few little mediumship ones. I remember, was it Ollie? It was Ollie. Ollie was probably about 6, and Cole and I was at the spiritual temple, and and I've forgotten it. It just come back in my mind. And the guy doing the demonstration, he said, I've got I said, I've got a dick. I've got dick here, dick. And Ollie is turning around and said, Mummy, he's just said his naughty word. So quiet. And I'm chuckling, and it was so quiet, everyone could hear him. But at the same time, they were trying to be serious because this man had someone there called Dick. But it was funny. And I think at that point, that's when I was like, yeah, maybe I should just be a bit more selective of where I take him there. And then they got to the age where they didn't want to come. They got bored of it. But Ollie used to come and he used to help me with my sabbats. He used to help me with my altar, put little things on there. I didn't get him heavily into it, but just on a loose scale, because it's all around me. It's all in the house. Crystals have always been in the house. I remember someone saying that they hid their crystals from their kids and their family, and I thought, no, it all finds out in the open. And his friends used to come around when they were little. Oh, you're the witch's house, and I'd be like, yeah, if you're naughty, I'm going to go and get a spell for you, and they'd be like, okay. But again, the fear into them, isn't it? Giving a witch is a bad name. They knew it was a bit of a joke, but in our family, everybody knows I do it. It's not a secret. And my kids, to them, it's perfectly normal. I mean, they just walk past now doing something like this, don't even batter an eyelid. When I'm doing my lives or readings, it's absolutely normal. I would have loved that as a childhood.
Yeah.
For them. But even your Ollie comes to the fairs, doesn't he? And he does his little pound, doesn't he? So.
Yeah. We've got Pauline here. The house I lived in before I moved here had many spirits. My granddaughter at age 2 to 3 used to talk to one in the corner. I think they do until they get to school age, and then they get it kind of like forced out of them. I think that the younger ones do, or they do it a lot when they're younger. Definitely.
I think it's different as well, though, isn't it? Because your kids are growing up into an environment where it's completely accepted. You might have somebody that has a kind of a small belief in it, as the odd tarot card reading, and their kid suddenly says something. It's harder for them to deal with because it's not normal in the house. It's not an accepted thing. But like you said, if they start young like that, then let them develop. Imagine how wonderful that is if all their life they've never remembered anything different apart from being things will be lovely. But that's what I think it is, isn't it? A lot of people aren't as accepting as you, or it's not a daily practice like it is in your house.
No, and I think that's why a lot of people come to me and say, what do I do? My kids are seeing this, because they do know that I'll be able to help them.
So what should they do?
Well, just don't put the fear into them. Just literally make it out to be as normal as possible, because the minute the fear of any kind comes in, they're going to remember that over anything. But just treat it as normal. Just say, okay, they probably come to say hello. Maybe there's some change going on within the family, and that's why they've come a bit closer. Maybe there's birthdays or anniversary, or the little one just is being open sensitive. But I would just not poo-poo it at all, but also I wouldn't encourage it when they're that young. I would just make it be very normal and carry on.
Are spirits drawn to children?
Yeah.
Pardon?
Are spirits drawn to children and toddlers, do you think?
They're more open because they haven't got that fear or that block. There's nothing in their mind telling them that it's right or wrong, or it's yes or no. So they're being more open to it. Same as dog animals as well. Yeah, there's no block in their way.
Yeah, I just wondered if the spirits kind of know that there's a child there or a toddler or baby that they can.
Yeah, of course, definitely. The vibration, definitely.
Well, I think also, if a child is scared, and I know this happened to me when I was younger, and you are feeling uncomfortable, and spirit wouldn't mean to scare children, but children naturally are scared. I think as you get older, you start getting scared. Little children probably aren't. And I was just taught, it's probably someone you love, but if you're really that uncomfortable, just say, can you wait till mummy's here? I don't like it. And I'll speak to you later. I don't want you here.
Yeah.
And genuinely, it will be someone they love. They will go away. No, they wouldn't want to scare that child.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Saying that gives that child control.
Absolutely.
In a lot of children in their life, it is when they lose control, feel out of control. So give them their own power back a little bit.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, definitely. Kerry Wilton. My youngest daughter loves reading fairy cards. My 11-year-old was a great believer in the universe and fairies. Sadly, my 11-year-old is not with me now, but my youngest is very connected to her. Oh, that's a shame, Kerry. Sorry about that. Yeah, and probably because of their early intuition, she's able to connect to her nicely. So that's lovely to be able to do that. See, at 11, they know their mind a little bit more. They're coming into that weird age of the puberty when they do kind of change a little bit.
Weird.
But yeah, strange age. But I was at 11. You can be a little bit more open and a bit more honest and go into it a bit more deeper. But I think, like Hayley just said, giving them their power back, giving them the control to be able to feel that they can say yes, come in, no, go out, and just to. It's all about education, I think. If the parents are fearful, go and educate yourself, and then you'll realise you don't need to be fearful from it there. So let's ask Jem, because Jem has got no children yet. What about, we were talking about, do your friends know about it? Do you keep it secret from your friends? Are we your only psychic friend? What's your...
Yeah, so you are my only psychic friends. And anyone that comes into the lounge that all knows about it. My friends are very, very supportive in anything I do, same as my family are very, very supportive, but they don't follow it at all. And if I start to say something, I went to Kate's development class and I got this right when I just had these images and then I got it right, they're like, oh, it's voodoo. It's all voodoo. They call it the voodoo shop. They call it voodoo stuff. Even now when I said, please don't come upstairs because I'm going on to the Loose Mystics, they're like, yeah, you go and do your voodoo. But they're very supportive because it's my belief and they know that I don't push it on them. So I don't come home and say, you should believe this, you should do this. Here's a crystal, you need to hold this in your hand and take it around with you in your bag.
What do you mean, shove that in your mouth?
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't push it on them. Same with my friends. They absolutely love and support. I mean, my friend Selena came in and helped at the lounge one day, but none of them sort of follow it or anything, and they'll listen to me if I've got stories, but that will be as far as they go. They won't sort of follow it. And I make a point, I don't push it on them. I don't think it's right. Like, I wouldn't expect someone to push their religion that I don't believe in or I don't follow on me. I would never push spiritual stuff onto them.
I've had people be quite rude about my beliefs though, which really annoys me, because they wouldn't be like it with Christianity or if I was a Muslim or if I was anything else. But if you say you're a spiritualist or they're like, oh my God, what a load of rubbish that is, and they feel like they've got like some right to be able to completely and utterly.
Absolutely. So my nan on my dad's side was Christian through and through. She was Italian Christian. They're really passionate, and my mum didn't get me or my brother christened. She said if they want to do it when they're older, it's up to them. She left it to us. So my nan, who was so passionate, told my mum that because she didn't do that me and Luke were going to go to hell. So of course that's what she truly.
Okay, mad, isn't
Yeah.
it?
It's so bad. That's what she
isn't
used to
it?
say growing up. You know, you need to get christened. You're old enough to, you know, at 9, 10, you need to get christened now. Otherwise, you will go to hell if you don't. So of course, I started growing up thinking, Mum, should I? You know, what's going to happen? Because I believed my nan. She was my nan. You know, but it's crazy. And I think if someone's really passionate and they're pushing it on you, that can't. You know, I don't agree with that really. I think everyone's in their own minds. They should make up what they want to believe and what they want to follow.
Can you imagine what she'd say to you if you found out you was a spiritualist?
Honestly, I literally, if she knew, I said to Mum the other day, can you imagine Nanny Waller, like, knowing that I'm into all of this and I love it all? And she'd literally, I think she'd disown me.
Has she ever connected, Jem? Has she ever in anything?
She has a few times, actually. She has a few times, but not in but just in a nice way, not in like a sort of way. But she has. I think Colin, when he did his mediumship, he picked her up ever so slightly because she was quite a small, fiery Italian. You know, you can imagine them coming out of their Italian houses shouting all this Italian at. She was completely that. But and Colin's picked her up a little bit, and I think there was one other medium that I've seen has picked her up. So she does come through.
Right now, Gemma.
What was that?
She knows you're right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never ever forced it on anyone, but now as I've got into it, in fact, when I had a proper job, and I would be predicting pregnancies and talking about it generally, people were really intrigued. So if they had any question, and I didn't know anything then, they'd always come to me. Oh yeah, we had this going on, we had that going on. And somebody I knew used the Ouija board quite a lot. She used it safely with her dad coming through. So we really clicked too, and we're still friends now, like 20 years later. But people were intrigued when I first got into it, and now I think I've got a handful of probably, I don't know, about 20 friends that aren't into it, which is lovely because sometimes it can be overload. So when I go and spend time with them, we don't talk about it at all. It's just very grounded, down to earth. Yeah, because I think for me, because I'm in it 24/7, I need that every now and again. I'll need to go and have a reboot with some grounded people because it is a little bit airy-fairy to be in all the time there.
Well, you wouldn't talk about it 24/7 if you were a vicar, would you? Unless you're a vicar, I mean. Normally people don't.
Yeah, I think because of the shop, I'm in it all the time.
I think as well with spiritual, as we're talking, I've just realised when you don't talk about religion, because religion tends to be about religion, so it's about Jesus or whoever God or what have you. Actually, spiritually, you're asking about them. So that's why you're opening up conversations, because you're asking about what they've seen, what they're feeling like, it's more about your involvement to them. You're there for them. And I'm wondering whether that's where it's put, you haven't got that, you're going to find your own, when we're saying about power. So with spiritual, it's about self-responsibility rather than blaming God or someone out there. What we do is actually
blame the universe.
Blame the
ownership of what's going on in your life, and that's quite a hard one for people, I think, to think that what's the cause of effect. Like we were saying about we were talking about karma last time, wasn't we? I think that's much better to teach children. What you give out is what you get back.
Comes back.
You get kindness. If you give out meanness, you'll get meanness back. I think karma gets used. We said about this before.
Yeah.
This place like it's a revengeful thing, and I don't believe that's karma, to be honest.
No.
I think that's a much nicer way for a child to think, look, in this life you could reap what you sow. You don't have to wait to go to heaven to get heaven. If you're kind, you're going to get abundance of that back. If you're mean, you're going to get that back.
Absolutely, yeah. I think for me, I mean, the way that the pagans do things, the natural way working with the moon, working with the seasons, the natural cycle of things.
I like that.
So obvious that that's correct, and the man-made things aren't correct. The timings of everything, it's how if nature does it, how can it be wrong to me? And like that's that came in before anything else. So really, I think that we should be bringing children up with the natural world, and then it's normal. There's no, it's just normal. There's no fear or right or wrong. It's natural.
And no divide.
Yeah, yeah,
Living on Earth.
yeah.
So nature,
And we're all equal.
We're not separated by what we choose to call the supreme being, whether it's God or I don't know.
Divine. Yeah. I didn't realise when we were growing up that my mum was a little bit into this. My mum used to read the horoscopes, and I remember her talking about peppermint was good for this and lavender was good for that. And that's what got me into it. That just hearing them bits really sparked something from me to get into it. And then my nan would talk about seeing her nan, and her nan died when she was 6. And I'd be like, what do you mean you saw your nan? She's been dead 100 years. And that got me into my ears prick. And then we used to pretend to read the tea leaves between us. And then my granddad actually died in this room that I'm in now. Just over there he died. And she said that when he died, the day he died, she went to the kitchen, got him some milk, went out, hung the washing up, came in, and he'd had a heart attack. But in between that, when she went out in the kitchen, she saw a purple cloaked figure, which she thought, well, that's not right. Came back in, and my granddad was dead. So hearing those sort of stories sparked it for me. So it was never a crazy subject, but it also wasn't massively into it. And then I found out as I got older that my uncle and auntie on my mum's side, they were faith healers. And I only found this out probably about 5 years ago, that my auntie in Australia, she died now, she was exactly what I did. She was a tarot reader in Australia. She had her own healing room. She went and did all the fairs. Everything that I do, she did there in Australia. So she was my second cousin, and she died 2-3 years ago, I think. And I only found that out. Now, I probably found that out about 10 years ago, maybe a bit longer than that now. But it was in my family, but I didn't know it was in my family until much later on. I've got to go and grab the door. Hold on, carry on.
But for me, like, spiritualism just seems a little bit more natural. It doesn't seem to be so, like, like a lot of conformist religions are so structured, and you must do this, you must do that, or this will happen, or that will happen. Spiritualism feels more sort of like free flowing and more to do with nature and the universe and the spirits and our lives. Do you know what I mean? And about how we react with each other.
And it's I think spiritualism is what you believe is what helps you, isn't it? So, the signs that you see that make you know that that's the universe talking to you, like robins are my sign, but might not be someone else's sign. So I don't think there's a lot of rules that we have to follow. It's just what we believe in and what fills us with that abundance to keep us going. Whereas, I think other religions are quite.
I've just seen Tom Cruise.
Hi, Colin.
No, I was very, very fortunate. I think, my mum, she went into it quite a young age. She was very young, and a lot of her best friends were that way. So my mum was probably a bit like you, Kate, to be honest, back then, really, wasn't she?
Yeah, I think so.
About it, so and she would have you would even come and do a group and what have you, and we would really enjoy it. So I was quite fortunate. And actually, my two really good friends, I had Kate and my other friend Anita, whose mum was really into it all. So I've now got to get used to. Some people think I'm a weirdo, because to me, it's I don't even think about it anymore. I just think, well, that is who I am. I talk about astrology. Well, the first thing I'll ask is their star sign. I know. I'll have a look at what colours they're wearing. We'll be quite knowing, even if you're not seeing their auras. I mean, I remember that. I remember more than spirit. Now realising, I thought everyone would close their eyes and see colour and have different colours coming through. And I thought for a lot of years that was quite normal until, quite old, when I realised actually that not everyone does see that.
Do you know what, though? The thing is, when you mentioned horoscopes, I remember, like, I'm really quite into the astrological, the horoscopes now, but I wasn't for years because of Miss Septic Peg, whatever her name is, Mystic Meg.
Mystic Meg, yeah.
It just was like complete rubbish. But I think she gave horoscopes and things a really bad, or astrology a really bad name. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like. But now,
actually, such a young age, I have probably never actually really been into horoscopes. As much
Never.
as strategy, I don't think I was one. I would have a look, but I never took them seriously. I'd have a look, and if it worked. And also, I know that probably you should be looking at your ascendant anyway to read your horoscope. Would be more accurate than your sun sign anyway. But I'd have a look for a sign. Even from a young age, I knew that wasn't proper astrology. I knew that you needed your will and all your different bits that went with it.
I used to love coming around your house. When I was little, younger, in my 18, 19, I used to love going around your house and doing the circle with your mum and the O card and past life regression. I love absolutely. I was like, oh, I wish I could live here. I loved it.
Not all the time.
Oh, I loved it. But now it's probably, I think maybe if I'd had girls, they might have been more interested in it. I don't know, but the boys are. I mean, they're teenagers now.
Not really. I mean, Shah's done her tarots and she's interested, but she's not like me, the same as the hairdresser. She sort of floats on it, doesn't she? But she's not so interested. I think it's personality, character, and where you pull to it. Friends pull you in or push you away.
Yeah.
So Shah's friends aren't so much into that sort of thing. Shah will do their readings, but they're not like you and I, if that makes sense.
Generally, you weren't into it but then you found a deck of tarot cards, didn't you? That you had
I've always kind of been intrigued by it. Always thought. I mean, even now, and I've been really into it since I joined the lounge back in September. And even now, being part of the circle, anything that anyone gets right, like when you two do cards and messages for people at the end of the show, it always still blows my mind. But I think it's not always a coincidence. Like, I had a pack of tarot cards so I did Kate's tarot course, brought a new pack of Rider-Waite's, thought, I'm going to do this like she does it, like a mini me, Kate. And then during lockdown, first couple of weeks, I was cleaning everything and chucking stuff out, and lo and behold, at the back of my drawer that I hadn't gone in for years and years and years was this pack of Rider-Waite tarot cards. So I had 2 packs, and I was like, and I sent Kate a picture. I was like, look what I found! It was destiny. I was meant to have these, and I was so excited. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe it. And you can't put that down to coincidence. Like, what? How have I got them? Where would I can't even remember purchasing them or how they came into my life. Just that I found these at the back of my drawer when I was cleaning out, hadn't looked in there for years and years, already brought a new pack because I wanted to learn to read them. And they've been in my life all this time. And I was like, what?
I did that for no apparent reason. About 25 to 30 years ago, I bought a set of runestones. And I didn't know anybody I didn't even really know what they were. I just felt compelled to buy them. And I didn't know anybody mystic. I didn't know anybody that read fortunes. I didn't have any friends that were into spiritualism, but I was just drawn to them. And I wish I knew where they were, because I don't know what happened to them. I don't remember getting rid of them. But I'm really drawn to the runestone.
Look behind your drawers.
Now, I've moved twice since then, 3 times, something like that. It's weird. For no reason, I just really felt like I had to buy them, and then just put them in a drawer and didn't do anything with it, which is a bit of a shame.
We've got Kerry here. Kerry says her mum used to run meditation classes, read cards, mediumship. She grew up with it too, and her daughter now comes in on her lives and gives people readings, which is sweet. Pauline, right, I was about 23 when I could sense spirit, and have ever since, and seen them and spoken to them. I did hear once outside the bedroom door, actually twice, I heard a little girl's voice say mummy, and I shit myself and hid under the cover. I can't remember the second time, but again I was in bed. But the first time I proper shit a brick, proper. And then I was trying to be rational and think, right, it must have been one of the kids. It cannot have been a girl. But it was such a girl's voice. And I was really trying to rationalise it, and it wasn't. It was a girl. And then it happened again. But the second time I wasn't as bad. But the first time, and it was probably about 6 years ago, 5 years ago, about 5 years ago maybe. Might have even been less than that. But not that long ago, really. And I still hid under the covers.
My brother is a huge skeptic. Like, when I put my crystals out to cleanse under the moon, I've never seen he's a proper lad and not much makes him laugh. He's a pompy lad, and it takes a lot to make him laugh. So when I put my crystals outside to cleanse in the full moon, you've never seen a grown bloke cry with laughter so much, because he just thinks it's ridiculous, hilarious. But I'll never forget one time me and my mum were watching a show at the Guildhall, so he was home alone, and we came out at about 11 p.m. and I had a text message from him. He was like, "Where are you two?" We were like, "Well, we're just on our way home, we've just come out of a show." And he's like, "Okay, you need to come home now." And I was like, "Why?" He's like, "I will tell you when you get here, you just need to come home." So we were, of course, really worried. We thought something had happened. Someone might have broken in and attacked him or something. So we rushed home and he went, "I thought you two got in about 2 hours ago." And we were like, "Why?" And he's like, "Because I've just had 2 knocks at my bedroom door and laughter, girls' laughter outside my door. And I thought it was you two mucking around."
Oh.
And you could see like the colour had just drained from his face. But of course, although that would have scared me if I was there, because I could see that he had obviously experienced something, you know, this big, I mean, Kate, you've seen him, you know, he drained with colour and was almost like in cold sweats, because he was like, I paused my thing, I come out because I was like, "Oh, you two playing tricks on me." And then when there was no answer and no car in the drive, he kind of like the realisation that, you know, someone knocking at his door and a girl's laughed.
I don't know why I'm so scared of it, though. Do you know what I mean? I really am petrified of seeing or hearing something. It would, I wouldn't be able to sleep for a month if I heard.
I had an experience when Damien and I first got married. We lived above Damien's nan's flat house, and oh my god, we had a little flat.
Oh god, yeah, I remember some of the stories you said.
Scary house. Oh my god. So it was one morning. As Damien had gone to work, he goes to work quite early, about 4 or 5 o'clock.
Come closer.
Right, so I feel like I'm sort of, you know, you're asleep, but you're close to bed, and I can't quite lift my head up. So I'm looking out at the thing, and I can see this little girl. In my head, I'm like, why is this nan let the kids up? She knows I'm in bed. Why have they let them up? Going back. So I was like, felt a funny feeling. The little girl, blonde hair, little white nightie. Obviously, so I've got up in the morning, not thought nothing out of it, because I went to confrontation. I was like, I'm not going to say anything. But later on, I realised it wasn't one of the kids, because it was too early in the morning. When we left under sad circumstances at the time. But when we left, his nan said, all I could hear was a little girl crying when you left. I was like, oh my God, that really upset me. So Mum and I actually did like a spirits thing to try and help her go, you know, be comfortable where she was, because I really thought I'd attached myself to this little girl within spirit sort of thing, and she'd attached herself to me. So that was a really frightening experience, because I think until that time I'd only heard, I'd experienced it for myself. It was really real. So and I found so I think, but actually we was able, and even his nan did say, we don't feel that little girl anymore. So I think we was able to help her, maybe, or whatever that energy. I don't know if energy leaves on, maybe that moment stays rather than that main moment.
I don't want to be scared. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be, because I know that if it's family or something like that, that they don't mean you any harm, and I know that it's meant to be a nice thing. But at the same time, and so I'd really almost kind of quite like to see something or hear something, but at the same time, just like, kill me now. Do you know what I mean? It just frightens the life out of me.
My nan, when my nan died, literally it was like 5 days. She was in I know she was in my kitchen. I was frightened. Because it felt too real, and she hasn't been back since, and I get really pissed off with myself because I was frightened. But I do believe when that's going on, the reason you're frightened, because that energy's pulling, it's like the same energy. So if you learn to, like, for me, if you learn to control that energy of frightening energy, it's not the meaning scared, but that's almost what's drawn. So if you can think, just breathe into that nervousness,
100%,
into what they're saying, because I think sometimes we get confused that as being frightened. There's like a fine line between that. You probably, so I'm like, you can come and see me now, and I will be all right. I promise you won't frighten me. So yeah, so but I do think there's a similar energy. So it's just working that out, I think.
Yeah.
Accepting the energy, I suppose.
Mandy,
yeah.
Have you not been to anything that Have you not been to anything that helps you feel safer? Even though it took you ages, Kate, didn't it? Even though you were into it, it took you ages to
Yeah.
frightened.
I've been to, I go to the mediumship evenings, and I started going to the group, and they say about grounding, but no, to be honest with you, I don't suppose that side of it just always does sort of scare me. So I kind of stay away from it, I guess.
I'll lend you a book, man. It's Gordon Smith's Unbelievable Truth. It's a brilliant, brilliant book. I've got one in the shop, but I've also got a copy here. I'll lend you it. Really, really good.
But don't forget, I think it might be my sister had to have her house exorcised, and she ended up in a mental institution for the majority of her life because she called up a spirit into her house and didn't get rid of it properly. I was only about 8 or 9.
Well, that's fear, isn't it? Where that's coming from.
Because, I mean, I remember she had 2 young kids at the time, and the kids saw this old man. She said she would look into a mirror and see the face of this old man instead of her own, and there were footprints and handprints on the ceiling and things like this. And I remember being there when the priest was there, and they were like exorcising the house. But she had a nervous breakdown. But this was back in the 70s. So all they did was put you on Valium, you know, which kind of like she got addicted to, and it caused all sorts of problems. And I don't know whether it's this that just has got this massive mental block for me. Do you know what I mean? Well, they used that Ouija board, called up a spirit of this old guy where she used to work, but they didn't do it properly, and they didn't get rid of the spirit properly, and it stayed in the house. Apparently, this is what, you know, the story is. But then Kate and Colin said there's no such thing as bad spirits, but he obviously knew that he was. Well, I
think what would have happened is, they would have, they may have got a spirit there that had a negative influence, not a bad spirit, but maybe had a negative influence, if you like. But more than likely, from that, one of them would have then said, oh, there's something in here. So that would have sparked a fear. And then that fear would have grown into something, and then that would have grown. So more than likely, it may not have even been the spirit. It could have just been the fear that created the energy that produced everything. And then they said it was a spirit, but really it was just, imagine doing that and then being told or feeling something, oh God, there's something shifty here. You've just done that. You're going to instantly put a fear into it. So that's going to grow and grow and grow. So for me, more likely it would probably somebody in that circle would have been the fear more than the spirit.
I think there's things like Ouija boards and stuff you shouldn't play with. You know, you've got angel boards and things now, and I think that they're great if you've got somebody who knows how to protect yourself. I mean, I do believe in bad energies. I do believe you have to protect yourself from bad energy. So I do think if you're doing things like angel boards and stuff like that, you shouldn't be doing it willy-nilly. You should
know how to, yeah.
Don't think you should do them when you're drinking alcohol or on any sort of drugs. I think that's when your head gets confused, and that's where the bad energy comes in. It's not necessarily bad spirit. It's just controlling the energy to get it correct, because your head can get twisted.
But how do you explain it then? Like, they didn't tell her young children what had happened, but they came in and said to their dad, like, there's an old man walking around upstairs in his pajamas. You know, like, and that was the person who died in the nursing home that she used to work in. That's the face that she used to see, and that's who her children saw.
Then so he probably did connect. He did come and show himself, wanting to make contact. They don't mean it's bad.
Charlotte, doesn't have to mean they're bad. If you had an old person that you didn't know walking in your house, and then they were alive, you shit yourself, wouldn't you? To be honest. Like,
but I mean, he stayed there. This happened over a period of weeks. He didn't know.
A child would be frightened of an unfamiliar face. An older person in their bedroom would be frightened, even if they were meaning no harm. And fear is the most dangerous thing anyway. If you know, fear stops us doing a lot in life anyway, doesn't it? But probably if they had somebody that knew what they was doing, and just to say, look, you're scaring them, go away. I don't really believe in spirits that can actually harm you. I believe the living is what harms you, really.
Yeah.
But I believe that they can be scary spirits because the children don't know. So if you just say, I think that's why it's scary, you say it's in your mind and the spirit's still there, and they're like, I can see it. So they're going to be frightened.
Yeah.
Darla, she'd never go down with Father Christmas had been frightened her. Because it's somebody you don't know. You're strangers.
But it was my sister that ended up the one obviously who was most frightened, and she had this nervous breakdown. like I said, they gave her Valium and put her in a nursing home, and then she was in and out of homes then for the rest of her life, which is like really, really sad. It's like she never recovered from it. She was a nervous disposition. She was a very, very gentle person, a very kind of, not delicate, that's the wrong word, but you know, when say like an upsetting thing would really upset her. So I think she was affected. She was very sensitive.
Yeah.
I had a family member something similar, and actually she was never. That's why I don't like Ouija. I don't do Ouija boards if you don't know what you don't.
No, they scare me. They do.
I know of a couple of things not been nice after it. To be honest.
Kerry said, I remember at one house I stayed in, I was about 14, 15, I could hear footsteps around the bed and hear someone laughing at me. I found out afterwards that particular room was very haunted. Books and things used to go across the room. It was scary as I was so young. Now, if I went to that room, I would send it on. Yeah, again, I think energy, I'm just not into bad spirits. That bad energy can create movement, can create, the fear. I've literally, when I did a house clearance once, if I didn't see it, I wouldn't have believed it. I literally saw a mass of, it was about that big and it was black and it was like cotton wool, black cotton wool, and it was all different shapes. And it just went like that, and it flowed from one part of the house, and it literally just kind of went like that, right past my feet, out the door. And if I hadn't have seen that, I wouldn't have believed it. That to me, that was collected, that black mass of energy that was creating negative energy in the home, caused by arguments that was going on, caused by screaming and crying. So that black mass had built up over a period of time, and that energy could then create things.
Is this why you smudge? Is this why you should smudge, to clear the negative energy out of the house?
Yeah. Smudge, clean. It makes sense in one way. Clean, which we've all been doing for 3 months.
Yes. So I can hoover the bad energy away. Is that right?
Yeah. And there's all fucking ways to put salt down.
An argument.
Pardon?
Have you ever gone in a room and you can tell someone's had an argument?
Mm-hmm.
You can feel it. That's an energy. You can feel that energy. You think, oh, can't wait to get out of it. You can feel it.
Yes, true.
When people say they can cut the atmosphere with a knife.
Yeah.
So
that is energy. It's not spirit. It's energy. Pauline said had a bad experience with using letters and a glass. Things really went wild. The glass was moving on its own. The curtains flapped. Things flew off the table. Never did it again. See, for me again, it's probably someone in that circle that was creating that energy by fear, and then it's been fed. And you might have got a spirit that thought, I don't want you doing any of this. This is crazy. I'm going to scare you so you don't do it again. It doesn't mean to say they're a bad spirit, but they might just be I don't know. It's just one theory.
And I think also if you ask them to go away because you're not comfortable with it, I believe that's quite true, because I'm in the top room, right up in the loft, so you can often hear the creaks if you're in the bedrooms below. And quite often both Mum and Luke will say, I thought you were upstairs, because it sounded like you were moving around. And my mum texted me once, so I'll go back to the story. It was again coming back down to coincidence. I had one night where I couldn't sleep because I just felt like there was a crowd of people around my bed really enclosing in on me, and I kind of just sat up and I was like, can you just go away, please, because I really need to sleep. And that kind of atmosphere just lifted away. So whether that was me building the energy or whatever, but it did go when I asked it to. And I woke up because I felt I could hear shuffling coming forward. So the next morning, and I didn't tell anyone this was just me in my own head, my mum said, Jem, last night, I don't know what was going on up in your room, but I could hear shuffling up in your room. So, of course, I was like, wow, you would not believe this. So, and now she says, and then one time she texted me, she said, Jem, the shuffling's back up in your room. And I'm on my own, and I don't feel comfortable. I said, Mum, just say out loud, please, can you go away? Come back when Gemma's here. Please just leave me alone. And she said she did, and that she, and then it went away and she felt comfortable again.
But they don't believe in any of it, though. But they don't believe in it.
No, she doesn't believe in any of it, but little things happen, and I'm like, are you sure there's not like an inkling?
I remember I had a house with an ex-boyfriend quite many years ago, and it was such a weird energy in that house. You've always felt like somebody was watching you. and at the time we had very up and down relationships. So without a doubt, there was weird energy between us. But I couldn't even have a bath without feeling like somebody was watching me. I couldn't go anywhere. It was just a really horrible atmosphere. And I remember once being upstairs. We had parties all the time at that house. And I remember one morning I came down and I could hear someone making a cup of tea and pottering about in the kitchen. And I just thought, he's had some friends sleep over again, because that was quite normal. So I didn't think anything of it. But when I went downstairs, I noticed that the living room door was shut. Well, when blokes sleep over, they never shut the door. They just go. So, and I thought that was odd, that the door was shut. And I went in and it was all tidy. And I thought, blokes on a drinking night never leave it tidy. But I just thought, that's a bit weird. And that was that. And then that evening I said to him, who stayed over last night? And he said, no one stayed. And I heard it as clear as about, all the clunking around. And then his son was in bed, and he was only about 2 at the time. And we heard, and this is on another night, we heard footsteps running around. So I've gone up to check on him, and he's sound asleep in the bed. But what I noticed was a bracelet that I'd given my partner was coiled, and I was really drawn to it, and it was coiled in such a way by his little boy's bed. For some reason, I just clocked it. Came downstairs, carried on. Then we could hear the running around again, and we could hear footsteps. So he's gone up, come back now, he's sound asleep. And that went on a couple of times. And the first couple of times, we just thought it was him getting out of bed and then going back into bed. And then the next time I went up there, this bracelet wasn't there. We never, ever, even when we moved, we never found it, ever. And then one day somebody said to me, all you need to do if you don't feel comfortable is literally tell them to go away. So this was like I was 19, right at the beginning of my development. So I literally stood in the front room and just said, look, you are scaring the F out of me, just F off. And I was so angry and determined. And I'm not kidding, it went like that. The energy just changed. And I felt, I had a bath and I was like, don't feel like anyone's watching me. Just changed. Really, we both got on a lot better. It was really, really bizarre. So whether that was someone that was there that didn't want us there, or whether that was the energy that we'd built up, because we were, there was stuff going on in the house that was a bit mental, or a bit of both going on there, I don't know. But yeah, but taking control definitely shifted it. But we never found that bracelet ever. And when we moved, we didn't have anything in the house, so it couldn't have got dropped down anywhere. But that room only literally had a wardrobe, a bed, and a sideboard, and we never found it. Weird.
I've got a question for you. Do you think some areas build up energy from what was there before? Like, for instance, if you get, say, some houses built on a place that used to be, say, a hospital where lots of people have died, or a prison, or that actual area, something manifests there and kind of stays there unless it's cleared.
Yeah, definitely. Is it called residual energy, Cole? Residual energy.
Yeah. But there's other terminologies for it, depending on what manifests from it.
Did you hear that? There's other terminology for it, depending on what manifests from it. Yeah, 100%. Trauma. Anything with trauma would hold. And I think that's where, for me, where
not necessarily trauma on its own. Anything where it has been sustained in the place for a long, long time.
Do you want to come and join?
The energy has
Join us.
one way or another, and it could be a place of.
Come on, you have to come here if you're going to say that.
Like real love and stuff like that. There was a place where there was over like a hospital where people have cared for people, and that's an opposite energy to where, like, if it was at my granddad's nunnery where he was brought up in a convent school, they used to beat the crap out of him. So that's, really abusing. So there's a completely different energy.
Yeah.
If you would pick up on all of that, energy doesn't disappear. It just changes form and stuff. So over time, but yeah, so that's what I think.
Yeah, because you hear stories that when someone's built on old burial sites and this kind of thing, like how things happen because it's not meant to have been built over, and the spirits don't like it, and this kind of thing. I just want.
No, I don't think spirits don't like it is valid. I don't think that fits. Spirit don't give a damn where you build this, that.
But in the Native Americans, don't they think that their burial lands are sacred and that you shouldn't?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, hugely.
So in that case, they would.
Yeah.
No, we do. The spirits don't care. They wouldn't give. Well, they're going to give bones to them. They're left behind. They don't give a monkeys about what they've left in the ground. It's so that
Is it more
Queensland
like,
is sacred.
when there's been wars and things, and there's been a lot of deaths, the energy of that's left. It's more the energy of the atmosphere of that moment. Does that make sense? So it's like, say, when people are on hospitals, it's not so much those spirits or those people that have died and maybe
Yeah, I meant the energy.
and so that all that energy of there, and then obviously people.
But do you know what? I went to Auschwitz and Birkenau, and there was nothing there. There was like no, and although I'm not completely spiritual, I'm not completely, I mean, I do pick up on atmospheres and you do get a feeling and stuff like that. And that was the biggest shock and surprise to me. It was almost like a vacant space, when you don't feel anything. Like there was no negative energy there. There was no positive energy. It was nothing, no birds singing. It was just almost like a vacuum. It was the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah.
Weird.
Then over time, you've had hundreds, well, probably millions of visitors to there over the years. So that everybody absorbs a certain amount of energy, and you're
they've taken it with them.
Well, you probably do take an element of something in one way or another, not necessarily negative and all that lot, but over time that energy is going to dissipate, and so it's not always going to be a bad place. But like you say, there's always something left there, and it doesn't surprise me like it would be like a little bit of a void, with, like you said, with no birds and all of that. That doesn't surprise me. But you don't always necessarily, in a place that had so much horror going on in it, you don't necessarily, depending how fresh the last event was, pick up on that kind of thing. Yeah. You could probably send a medium in there that didn't have a clue where it was. You could blindfold them and set them in there, and they may pick up absolutely nothing. I
suppose even the spirits wouldn't want to stay around there, would they? Wouldn't want to visit back. Huh? Oh, that's what I mean. They wouldn't want to go back, would they?
No. There wouldn't be none of that element there. When you're a spirit, once you connected with whatever that source is, for me, you're only too pleased to be there. You're never going to want to be hanging on to any of this crap down there.
Yeah, but they still do, though, don't they?
Not in my book.
My nan said
I was like, we have Colin on as a special guest one day.
You won't shut him up.
My nan said that when she comes through.
Yeah, you just got to plug it in.
If I'd known how lovely it was here, I wouldn't have been so worried about going. What a nice message. My nan, when she comes through from a medium, I can't remember who it was, said, if I knew how lovely it was, how beautiful it was here, I wouldn't have been so worried about going.
Absolutely. Which is why there's no fear. That brings us all back to that. Pauline said, the house I lived in before, I'm sure, was very negative. I've seen spirit here, but nothing scary. I had one night, a ball of energy was in my bedroom. It manifested into this little old man, had an old-fashioned duffel coat on, colourless shirt, grey heart, grey hair and sideburns, as plain as day. Wow. Yeah, they would take on form, and there's different stages of the manifestation there, and the orb is part of that, one of the stages there. So you asked a question earlier, Pauline, are you classed as psychic because you can see spirit? In my opinion, no. Psychic to me is when you can read other people. Psychic to me would be when you can give messages of what's going on in other people's lives, and read the situation. Not being mediumship. Mediumship is connecting to someone who's passed over and being able to give the evidence of that. But being psychic would that you can tune into what's going on in their aura, in their world, and say whatever is going on. So just because you could see a spirit, that wouldn't necessarily, to me, make you psychic or a medium, but it would make you sensitive, without a doubt there. If you can see a spirit and connect to them and hear them and communicate through there or be the medium, the conduit there, then yeah, you'd be a medium. But psychic, to me, you don't need to see spirit to be psychic. So I hope
a lot of people think, I thought it was intuition. It was called intuition. I think actually probably 5 years ago I realised it was something. Intuition and psychic probably are just different, maybe terminology. Does that make
Yeah, well, no. For me, intuition is like your gut feeling about something. Yeah. Like, do I need to do I go left or right? Well, your gut's telling you to go left, but if you'd have gone right, then you might have had a car crash. That's your intuition. The psychic is when you're able.
You know, when you get your psychic thing, your intuition's more about you, isn't it? Your intuition's about you keep yourself safe. I, for years, was saying, I've got really. I remember doing someone's hair and saying, got really strong instincts. I feel like your dad's there. And he looks like this, and this, because it comes from the same area for me as my intuition. She's like, well, how does your instincts know what my dad looks like if you've never met him? And I was like, oh yeah, maybe it's something else then. You know, because that was my mum. I was never the psychic. I just had strong instincts. I didn't think that, and even now I don't do a mediumship stuff. It just comes naturally. But really, when I think you saying about being intrusive, I did that to someone having their hair. So really, because I did, you know, it just
it all goes down to education, doesn't it?
Yeah, but actually, I'm a little bit of a believer. I would know, because of all my other stuff, I would know when to share and when not to anyway, because you would check things out first anyway, to be honest. But yeah, thinking about it, you know, she wasn't coming for a psychic reading, she was coming for hairdo. But I mean,
I think there's a lot of hairdressers you're going to be, I think, in tune because you're touching their heads.
Yeah,
so you're touching them. You know, not the hairdressers, I would imagine, are very intuitive. Psychic.
Their head done. They're very open with you, and they're very sort of vulnerable. But I think it's checking, even as a hairdresser, checking out. For me, if I was being intuitive, is that you're not reading them. You know, like, there's a difference between knowing whether it's just hair and you know what they're like, and you know they're going to do blah blah blah, because that's
Kerry said here. Kerry said, you mentioned earlier about your bracelet. I have a necklace with a tree of life pendant. I keep it hung up on a stand, fastened. I heard a click in the side as I went off to sleep. In the morning, I looked and the pendant was on the side. Checked all the chain. There was no way it could have come off, as it would have locked. A wonderful sign for me. Yeah, there's some people. I mean, I wasn't educated back when it happened to me, so I just found it spooky. But lots of positive things can come from the signs and the symbols. That
my earrings, Jem.
Pardon?
Remember my lost earring?
Yeah, your earring. That was crazy. Yeah, that was
just
so crazy.
Up on the floor in between me and Jem, and it was there, and it was like a bright silver earring that I'd lost somewhere else, out somewhere on the floor in between the two of us, and we've been sat there talking for about 20 minutes and never see it. Then all of a sudden it was there. It could not have been there before, seriously, because it really stood out. It was weird.
Crazy. I know this isn't the same thing, but I used to have a CD player a CD player up high, and I used to have to stretch the plug quite far. It was quite dangerous, but stretch it down to plug it in. And my dad used to always moan at me about it. He absolutely hated it. And probably about 3 months after he passed, I'd unplugged the CD player because it was getting to the time when you didn't use CD players anymore. And I came up from a shower. My windows were closed. There was no drafts or anything. And the wire was swinging as if I'd picked it right up here and chucked it. It was swinging like ridiculously. And talking about the fear, because I wasn't educated back then, I was literally like, I took the CD player down, and you'd never see it again. I took it to the dump because I was so scared. I was trying to link it to Dad because it was still quite early on after he'd gone. There was no way that wire could have been moving on its own. Like, I was trying to find a logical explanation for it because I was so skeptic back then. And the fear in me, I was like, nope, not having that. Let's take it away.
What I want to know is, what do you use instead of CD players then?
Tapes.
What? Tapes. I'm still using
with your mind.
Yeah.
Have you all got cards around you, ladies?
No.
Cards?
I haven't, not today, no. No,
Okay.
you really.
Shall we do some readings then? Who would like some readings? But while we're getting people to say yes, I think should we have, if I do a card for Mandy or Jem, and then you do the other one, Hay?
Okay.
Should we have a little, and then we'll do one for each other while we're just getting quickly, while we're getting people to say that they want readings. Okay, so Mand.
So I'm doing Jem, yeah?
Yeah, this is your card, Mand, and this says, are you thinking, is it worth it? Can you be bothered anymore with someone or something? Now, this card says you're not to waste any more time, and they could be either being a bit selfish, or they could be stealing your energy, and you might find that it's not worth it. So by walking away, a short-term loss is a long-term gain, and you'd be far better to protect yourself and walk away at this stage than to keep being trodden on.
Ooh.
All right.
Yep.
I would say for you, Jem, it's been great, but I feel like, I haven't seen it in you, but this has been a time of some real sort of
you have to come closer, Hay, come here.
There's been a lot of pain going on at the moment, a lot of healing going on, sort of almost heartbreaking at the moment. Things have been really, really difficult. The Power Blue, so it's I feel like there's around a little boy as well at the moment. They feel like a little boy, but it's quite a painful time. So I think it's about looking after yourself, because I think you feel quite frightened at the minute, okay? But I'd say you've got that blue, so there's lots of healing going on. So allow that healing in, allow that spirit in. But I am feeling a little boy's energy around as well, a young little boy.
That's really interesting.
But yeah, around you. So I do feel like that, but I do feel the boy. I do feel the boys in spirit. So I do think they're giving you lots of healing. So it's even around your youth. So there's some changes going on about. I'm not shocked it's around your beliefs, but it's actually really a little bit of time. Really look after yourself. Look at your needs, and feel like if you want a recluse at the moment to go back, that is fine. But you are getting lots of help from spirit, especially around a little boy, I think.
Thank you. That's really interesting. Thank you.
Okay, right. I'm going to do one for you, Hay. And then we've got a few people asking, and I've said that for them to share, so that's cool. They're sharing. So Hayley, this is for you. The Page of Swords. Where's the camera thing? This says that you're excited. It might be about work. That you're excited. You feel like you're going into something new. Lots of creative visions. Lots of new things. But you're having to be logical with it as well. So you're having to kind of move that creative vibe out the way, so that you've got to dot the I's, cross the T's, get everything sorted, do all the research. So it's like all the boring, all the intellectual things to get going. And then underneath is your excited vibe to be able to be that creative person again. And it might be like one step forward, one step back for a little while. So you might find that there's something that you might need to put in place, or some more logical things, sensible things that need sorting out before you might think you're ready, but then there's going to be something else.
Exactly what's going on, and cleaning it, and then you find you've got to do this as well, and you've got to do that as well. Oh, so boring, isn't it? When you just want to get on and do the hair and the beauty, and it's like,
yeah, I just realised that we need to get like paper towels, and we can't have the hand towel anymore. We've got our paper towels, so it's that like on a dispenser. So it's that sort of thing.
Salon, I've got all disposable towels, disposable beauty bags. So I think it's all just got to go in the bin. Or the hand sanitizer. Try to get the non-touch hand sanitizer.
I know.
Oh God! And you think,
yeah.
Do you want me to do yours?
Yeah, go on then.
Okay, I think there's been some clarity needed. With the clear underneath, and this is patterns that you need to change. So this has been a big learning time for you. So this is about that with the orange. So it has been a bit up to you. You have had to pull yourself, although I know you can't really, but you have had to pull yourself together, get it sorted, ready with all that extra wisdom and that knowledge, but learn by it this time. Learn. And that's what that clear is. So it's learn, allow that to go, shed the tears, go on, and there's your butterfly and celebration. So I think actually, so that's about let that shine bright, get your karma, get your kind karma that's coming to you, and it's your time to shine, I think. But that's just showing that through your wisdom.
I think as well that because I started today thinking, God, I'm getting really busy again. And all of a sudden it's feeling overwhelming. And I'm like, I'm going to be back to where I was again in a minute, where I'm like panicking because I've got this to do, that to do, this to do. And I was like, how has it already got like that? I haven't even gone back to work properly. How am I already in that space? We didn't open the shop. We were cleaning it this week. And the amount of people that just popped in to say hello, we didn't expect it. And they didn't expect it. They were literally just walking past. But it was a bit too overwhelming for. And I was like, I'm not sure if I'm ready to open yet. I don't know if I can do this. So that to me makes sense in the way that I need I would just need to take a step back again, because I think otherwise them last few months could be wasted, that I would just go straight back in to being da-da-da-da-da. So I feel like that's the reality check. Okay, so let's pull a few cards then. If you're drawn, Mandy or Gemma, to say anything, then chip in. Okay, so who's told me that they've shared? Let's have a little look there. Kerry's had to go. Thanks for joining in, Kerry. Pauline White, you've joined in with our little chat. Yes, you can have a card. Do you want to pick a card for Hayley for Pauline? Or?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Right, again, I think there's been sort of clarity. So there's clarity around a situation. It feels financial, like there's a healing of energy around a financial situation for you, but there has been some tears over this, but I keep getting money, like tears over money, property possibly, but yeah, I think, and also that green, so I think it's needing some space for yourself, again with the clear underneath, so I think it's about holding on to your knowledge. And again, I feel like Spirit's there to help you and just own your truth around this. I do think there's been some deceit around finances. So it's hold your truth, because I think you know what it's about, Pauline, but you know where to hold your truth.
Okay, Pauline. Hope that makes sense. Tiffany, yes, thank you for sharing. Thank you for joining us. Those that have joined recently and missed all our chit chat, when I share the broadcast, you'll be able to catch up on all our fantastic conversations, our fab chat. Lily said something else. Tiffany, man. No, this card is indicating that you are in a place of just hanging around at the moment, and you can't move forward, you can't move back, so you're literally in limbo. But what it says here is that you need to see things from a different angle, and you need to look at things with a different perspective, and it's not about now, it's about the future. So it's like you're thinking about long term, not short term. There will be sacrifices coming in around you, Tiffany. It indicates sacrifices and a need to let go of things in order to be able to move forward. But that's going to be your choice. So if you want to just stay where you are, you can stay with things, not make any changes or not make any sacrifices, and you'll just you'll go back into where you were. But if you want to grow, if your soul wants to grow, and if you want to evolve, then there needs to be some sacrifices and some change around some traditional ways, or change around how things have been, so that you can move forward there. But at the minute, it's saying you need to hang around and just think about things and have a look around you, what no longer serves you, for the long term, not the short term.
I got something then. I just felt a decision had to be made, needs to be made, or will need to be made.
Oh, there we go, from Mystic Mandy, Tiffany. Give us your feedback, guys. Please give us your feedback. So Pauline and Tiffany, if you can let us know. Kim, thank you for sharing. Hayley, do you want to do Kim? Feeling inspired, Jen?
Yeah. Lots of transformation. It's about big changes. It's almost like a grief. It feels like lots of grief. There's been a massive amount of changing, but there is the light on it now. So it's like that moving on from the grief, like a year or two on from it, and it's like everything feels very different. Like almost like you're starting your spiritual journey. There's a spark, maybe while you're watching it, but there's like that spark come in, and through your grief, you're gonna, you're choosing this spiritual Saint Germain, Kate.
Saint Germain. I should do, but my head's not thinking.
No, I'm not in that today.
But
yeah, I definitely feel some spiritual growth. I do definitely feel like there's been a lot of grief, big changes. I actually going to go. I think it might even be a grandparent. You have recently lost. But this has really set your thought process. But there's some around your grandparent. There's lots of changes. Yeah, the lilac always makes me think of Nans.
Okay, Kim, I hope that makes sense.
Clear skies.
Huh?
Clear skies.
Clear skies.
Yeah,
Kim,
like the clouds are going sort of parted and the sky is clear.
That's Mandy's message.
Don't know what that means. It's like I get images in my head. That's what I saw.
That's great. Betty, all the way from Alaska.
Ooh.
Wow.
Ooh.
We're international.
I'm doing this, aren't I?
Yeah, you're okay.
I'm eating a Jacob's cello. I need to keep my energy up.
Hold on a minute. I've done an online reading. I'm international. That's choking afterwards, laughing. Betty, you've got the 4 of Cups, Betty. Now, this card, where we're going, this card indicates that you might be feeling a bit fed up, a little bit low, and discontented, really, within emotional matters, particularly a little bit discontented and a bit fed up there. But what it's saying is, although you might want to take a bit of time out or have been taking a bit of time out, don't stay there for a long time because you're going to miss opportunities. So it's okay taking a breather and just having a bit of a soul call or going within for a little while, that not to stay there for too long because you will end up going downhill mentally. So keeping your ears and eyes open because there will be some opportunities coming up for you. At the moment, it feels like just nothing is quite suiting you. It's like that's whatever you're being offered, you're not really interested in it. But in a minute, there's going to be something much more favourable for you that will perk you up a little bit and that will spark your interest again. So although it's feeling a bit lack of motivation at the moment, and you might be going within and you might not be open to much help there. I'm also drawing actually, I'm not sure if this is you directly, Betty, or if you've got somebody like a son or somebody around you that is younger that is feeling like this, feeling a bit fed up. But if it is somebody around you as well, I feel like I would want to encourage them to open up a bit more and see the cup half full, not half empty. But if, Betty, this is around yourself, then again, I think it might be both. Then it would indicate that keep your ears and eyes open because there's going to be some good news coming. But you know, if you shut yourself away too long, you'll miss it there. So, Betty, I hope that makes sense for you there. Betty, I'm in a rehab hospital right now. Where am I? And we are total lockdown. Okay, so that's where that fed up, boredom, frustrating comes in. But although you're in a rehab hospital, Betty, and you've blocked yourself off, really closed yourself off there, I don't think you're going to be there long. You know, I think that you will be able. There's going to be some light coming soon, and there's an indication that there's hope coming around you soon. But try not to be too downhearted with things.
I see her like on a boat on the sea, adrift, like emotionally adrift.
There you go, Betty.
That's like floating. You know, when someone's like just like when you're on the sea and you are just floating, like it felt like it's emotional. So
like
it's just like,
with no purpose.
Yeah, like emotionally adrift kind of thing. So,
yeah.
This card. Wow, Betty was doing it. So I don't know if to share it. Oh God.
I know it's weird, isn't it?
So this is about again. I feel like it's I feel like I want to say be your own knight in shining armor. Look within yourself and mend yourself and accept change, accept those things, and also it's okay to grieve the change in your own self. It's like you feel like you're losing yourself, but it's for something better to grow because you're going to need to save yourself. I also feel like I'm very feeling like a Piscean energy. So it's about that spirituality, change it. It's like look at those two energies and choose which one you're going to go by, spiritual and that. So I just feel like really really grieve your loss of that old you, but embrace that new one and use that connection to spirit for your change. But yeah, be your own saviour. Be your own saviour.
Okay, it sounds like she can take that. Kim has said, Mystic Mandy, clouds clearing, great. I am doing more study into spiritual things. Thank you. So both of what you said there makes. Oh, I've got a cat there. Makes sense. It's not the horse or the man, it's the cat. Okay. Right, guys, thanks ever so much. I think I managed to catch people there. Thanks ever so much for watching and joining in with us. Hope you've enjoyed the show. We never know what we're going to talk about in this far in advance, but we'll be back in 2 weeks' time. If there's anything that you want, any topics that you want us to chat about or ask, then message in and we'll either answer you or we won't. No, we will do. We'll have a little think about it. But please keep following the page. Please like the page, share it with your friends so that we can get more interaction. That'd be really cool. You can contact each one of us on our own pages. So Hayley, it's Hayley Crystalis and Hayley Total Look.
Yep, Total Look one would be the best page.
Total Look. Mandy, your page is
Nothing.
Mystic River Lounge.
Yeah. Yeah.
For all our fabulous stock. Gemma, you've got
Ocean Dream Therapy.
Ocean Dream Therapy page and group, and myself, Kate May, Modern Day Mystic group, and Kate May Tarot Psychic Medium page. Get it right there. And obviously Suzette, who can't join us today, she comes under the Mystic and the Medium page, and Suzette, Psychic Medium, Spiritual Medium as well there. Suzette Thorley Carlisle. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. We always love this. Tiffany says thank you very much. And Kim, thank you for a lovely evening. And Betty, you are all having so much fun. Yeah, we enjoy it, Betty. So, like I said, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time. Next Thursday, we've got David Wowes, astrologer, Kabbalah, tutor, author, with us for the Mystic and the Medium show at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
So please join us for that. But we will be back here 2 weeks' time. Stay safe, everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.